We are now finally looking at some subjects that are not absolutely boring. This is Jacques Lacan and Return to Freud. Now, Lacan is an interesting person because he focuses a lot on linguistics, and I don't know, it's fun. So, his main gig is that he's trying to return to Freud because he believes that these people have grown too far away from Freud's initial teachings. Let's look at it. Psychoanalysis after Freud and the return. Post-Freudian branches following Freud's psychoanalytic theory branched into new directions. Object relations theorists focused heavily on early caregiver relationships, whilst ego psychology focused on reality testing and adaptation. Now, he criticized ego psychology because it was becoming too centered on healthy adjustment, development, and creating a coherent ego. He argued that ego psychology made Freud's radical discoveries too calm and manageable. And what he wanted to recover was that he wanted to focus more on the unconscious desire, the conflict, and the structurally divided nature of the human subject. Now, he has single handedly reversed the common assumption that humans form an identity first and then pick up language as a tool to express themselves. Now, he believes that a subject is born into an already existing symbolic world of names, family roles, and rules that ultimately structures their possibility of being. Now, think of it like this. As a very goo gaga child, you don't know anything. What you know is that you feel a sense of hunger, but before you can even communicate that hunger to anyone, your needs are being met. You are not constrained by the language you speak. There are some languages like, Chinese or Japanese, where there's a saying that goes, "Oh, today after tomorrow is the present, and it's a gift," or something like that. It's a very fun word. Or there's a German word for having pleasure out of inflicting pain on others. I think it was Schadenfreude. Now, there is no way you can describe this in a single word speaking English or Turkish. And that is the main argument of Lacan. It's saying that you are constrained by your linguistic environment, which language you speak, what symbols you use, and the societal order around you is actually what shapes your sense of being. Let's actually read. It's heavily influenced by Ferdinand de Saussure and Ludwig Wittgenstein. These guys believe that there's no natural bond between a word and a physical object, but from the differences and relationships within a larger linguistic system. How can you describe dark without light? Or how can you describe love without hate? Things like that, or neutrality. The unconscious is structured like a language. The famous Lacanian phrase does not mean our unconscious mind speaks in neat logical sentences, but rather it means that unconscious processes like dreams, jokes, and the slips of the tongue operate through substitutions, displacements, and indirect formations of meaning. So, arbitrary connections actually form the linguistic system. You may relate tree with happiness and with nature. So instead of saying, "Oh, I'm feeling very green today," you see what happened? Now, I was actually trying to find the substitution for natural, but what came to my mind was green because subconsciously I related tree with green. That was actually a naturally occurring phenomena that just occurred to me, which is just proving Lacan. Incredible! So, the sense of self and the mirror stage of Lacan. Freud has famously said that the ego is not the master in its own house. But Lacan takes this further and it insists that the human subject is founded on division. The I that speaks is inherently unstable. What does this mean? To learn this, we will look at the mirror stage. During this developmental phase, a child recognizes themselves in a mirror. The crucial gap here is that the child experiences an image of unified bodily wholeness in the mirror, despite their actual physical reality of being uncoordinated and deeply dependent. I don't know where Lacan got this. I don't know. I really don't know. I guess a child is that smart that he can understand that he's a whole being, a whole independent being, whilst being, uncoordinated and deeply dependent. I don't understand. But I guess children are very smart. But you can take this image as reference. I know it's interesting. I know it's weird, but this is a nice image to keep into your mind. This guy is the baby. He's looking at the mirror and he's seeing this wolf man. Crazy. He believes he's the alpha, but he's not actually the alpha. He's actually looking more like the wimpy kid, or like an indie rock band soloist vocal or something. Ego and misrecognition. The ego is actually formed by identifying with this external idealized image. I am the alpha. Therefore, identity is built upon structural misrecognition because the seductive image promises a unity that the lived experience lacks. So, your ego or you are trying to make yourself become this alpha male, this wolf, the leader of the pack, That is what you're looking for all of your life. The ego is formed by identifying with this external idealized image. Now, the 3 registers of psychic life. Lacan likes this image a lot, and I'm very surprised that Gemini could draw this image very nicely. So, first of all, there's the imaginary world. This is the realm of images, visual coherence, identifications, and the ego. Now, this does not really mean that you're thinking of 2 coherent things, but it's just when you close your eyes and think of memories, your scenes, images, close your eyes and think of your friend. What do you see? You probably see the face of your friend, but it's not the actual friend that you're seeing. You're just seeing a visual representation of your friend. A social media user spending hours editing a single photo to look perfect and feeling powerful looking at the image despite a chaotic real life is deeply engaged with the imaginary register. For example, it's just it's not really related. I guess this was taken from a quiz question. It's driven by fascination with wholeness as well as feelings of rivalry and comparison. So it's not all fun and games in the imaginary world. The symbolic world is the realm of language, social laws, kinship roles, and a broader network of meaning. And we have this term called the big other. It refers to the entire symbolic field of society, which contains language, authority, norms, and other thing. It's not really a literal biological person, like a mother or father, because we're referring to the big other. It's more like the Big Brother, if you've read 1984. It tells you how you should eat, how you should dress, how you should act, how you should judge. It's fundamentally the rules of the society that you're living in. But there's also the name of the father, a crucial symbolic function that breaks the illusion. of a complete two-person world between the child and the caregiver. It introduces the child to limits, societal rules, and a wider network of relationships. Now, being French, and I guess in the olden times, Lacan believes that when the child first learns of the word father, he starts to get a face-to-face with reality. He gets slapped in the face with what's actually real. He gets introduced to these network of relationships. He gets introduced to the hierarchy. The child starts to think, this is father. He's hierarchically better than me, stronger than me, just smarter than me, the child learns about hierarchical structures and societal rules by looking at the name of the father, Papa. And the third one, this is the real. The real is raw physical existence. It contains panic and terror, unassimilated trauma. What completely resists symbolization, it cannot be captured, absorbed, or expressed. When you experience a sudden, overwhelming, traumatic event, and you literally have no words, that's connected to the real experience. So what actually happens, I understand, is that there's this sense of reality, the real, back of your mind, the very depths of your mind. You cannot really comprehend it. It's knowledge beyond your comprehension. You actually cannot comprehend this, because as soon as you try to assign a meaning to it, it shifts from real to the imaginary and then to the symbolic world. Now, what does this mean? For example, you have this feeling of loneliness, but not actually loneliness. You have this feeling of emptiness, something that is lacking, or, some sort of issue that you cannot really understand. You try to assign a meaning to it. You research, and then you see that people who share this similar meanings call this loneliness. And then you start to assign the symbol of being lonely to this feeling. But you don't really fully comprehend what the feeling of loneliness that you are feeling is actually like, because you've essentially limited it to the realm of the term lonely. Make sense? Maybe. King Vaughn. So the difference between need, demand, and desire. A need is a fundamental biological requirement for survival: food, water, shelter. A demand is when you actually put this biological need into language and direct it at another person. Ma, give me food, ma. I need some moo. I need milky, ma. You see? And desire is what is left over after a need is satisfied. A psychological and existential extra beyond mere utility. So you see, your need is just pure utility. You need it because you need it to survive. It's just utilitarian. But your desires are what's left over after that need is complete. So when you actually ask for food, you're not just asking for food. You know the experiment where they made a wire mother for a monkey and a cloth mother for a monkey? And the monkey essentially ended up just lying or hugging the cloth mother for most of its life and only used the wire mother to feed itself. This is kind of what it's like. You don't just want food. You want food because you need food. But you need something else alongside food. If someone gives you your food but starts screaming at you as you eat, you don't want just food. You actually need some peace and quiet, or you need some love, you need some care, you need some recognition. This is the desire that you have beyond your needs. So, first of all, there is desire structured by lack. Lack is essentially Lacan's way of describing why we need what we need. Essentially, as a person, when you're born, when you look at this mirror here, there's a crucial gap, you see? And you misrecognize yourself to be that person in the mirror, but I guess unconsciously or subconsciously, you realized that that is not the real thing. So you look or you live your whole life looking for that emptiness, looking for the missing piece within yourself. So this lack manifests itself in your desires. There are certain objects, objet petit, I think that's what it was called. Objet petit A, maybe. So what is this? It's an object, so a thing that you attach meaning to. You say, okay, so I want this cube. This cube, if I have this cube, this will cure me. This will completely complete me. I will be finally complete, and the man in the mirror I will become. But no, you get this, and then you find yourself feeling empty again. So what now? So you assign your thing, you assign this value to something else. You live your whole life looking for this missing piece within yourself. There's also the desire of the other. So our desires are strongly mediated by what the social order deems valuable or attractive. So you see, you don't really have a frame of reference for what could actually complete you. Since you don't know what could be completionist or what could help you complete yourself, you can only theorize about things. But as you get integrated into society, society starts to give you ideas on what will complete you. You believe a labubu will fill that empty space because everyone is trying to do the same and everyone is thinking the same. So you just hop on the bandwagon and choo-choo we go. But when you get that labubu, fuck all happens. Nothing happens. Let's look at the barred subject and jouissance. So the barred subject is the human being divided, basically. S stands for the subject, and the bar starts for the split. It's not really that hard to grasp. Lacan uses the symbol dollars to illustrate that the human subject is structurally divided. The individual is split between conscious intention and unconscious meaning, never fully coinciding with themselves. You see, we have the unconscious meaning, desire drives, shadow, the unsaid, and the conscious intention. We don't know what we're doing. And there is also the thing of jouissance. What is jouissance? So, ordinary pleasure seeks to reduce tension and find comfort. But jouissance is a troubling, excessive, and sometimes painful form of enjoyment. It's more like addiction. You know it hurts you, you know it's harmful for you, but you still continue on doing what you are doing. For example, a toxic relationship. You get painful, stress-inducing interactions, but you have a strange driving compulsion to repeat it. And then the cycle continues because you keep doing it. It's jouissance. Now, I looked into the French of this, and jouissance, when you directly translate it, stands for orgasm. So instead of just pleasure, it's just the feeling of feeling good, but there's no really source for that. It's just the feeling of feeling good. It's an interesting topic, but it's kind of close to the death drive of maybe Freud. Now, why it matters beyond psychoanalysis is that it ensures psychoanalysis isn't merely about fixing a person to fit into societal molds, but it's about grasping the messy linguistic nature of human existence. Blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. Yeah, okay. So, um, linguistics and how your mind actually works is given by Lacan. It's not just looking at psychoanalysis things.